The following program is sponsored by CBN.
Coming up, the group that's breaking down barriers.
This is what medicine is all about.
Because babies' lives are at stake.
A child is a child.
Now they're reaching out across borders.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
And changing hearts in more ways than one.
The common language that all these children have is that they're human beings.
Our series, To Life, continues on today's 700 Club.
Welcome, folks. That Southwest Airlines flight is still in the news because people want to understand what happened. It was a 737, which is one of the most popular airplanes ever built. It's flown thousands of hours. And suddenly an engine explodes, and the cowling does not catch the parts, and the parts slam into a side of the plane and into the window, and a woman is dead. Well, the Federal Aviation Administration said it will be ordering inspections on all jet engines like the one that blew up on that flight on Tuesday. As I said, it was the most popular airliner ever built.
Well, the two pilots on the plane say their hearts are heavy over the death of one woman on the flight. But the plane's lead pilot, a Christian, is being hailed as a hero. Caitlin Burke has the story.
The issue, according to investigators, was the fan blade in the engine. It broke off during that Southwest flight from New York to Dallas, sending shrapnel forward and causing an explosion.
We are very concerned about this particular event. Engine failures like this should not occur, obviously.
It's the second time in only 2 years that this exact type of failure has happened, in the exact same spot.
You could say that there might be a manufacturing issue there. It might be an inspection issue. It might be a maintenance issue.
No matter what the issue was, the FAA doesn't ever want it to happen again. Federal regulators say they'll issue a new directive over the next few weeks, requiring inspections on the nearly 7,000 engines around the world like the one that exploded. This new plan will require ultrasonic inspections of fan blades after a certain number of takeoffs and landings.
And our preliminary examination of this was that there's evidence of metal fatigue where the blade separated.
The explosion that followed killed one passenger, nearly sucking her out of a window. Medical examiners say she died of blunt impact trauma to her head, neck, and torso. Investigators are now working to understand how the window came out of the plane.
Our experts have been documenting the window frame area to understand how the window came out. And I want to note that we have found no window materials, the acrylic that the window panes are made of. We found really no acrylic inside the airplane.
Some passengers thanked God for their survival, one saying, quote, "God sent his angels to watch over us." Pilot Tammy Jo Schultz was hailed as a hero. She calmly and skillfully landed the damaged plane in Philadelphia. Schultz, a former U.S. Navy fighter pilot, is a Christian. She said once that sitting in the captain's chair gives her the opportunity to witness for Christ on almost every flight. One passenger said she had nerves of steel. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Well, it's a tragedy, but we salute that pilot. She is just magnificent. One of the first, if not the only, woman to fly in combat in an F-18 fighter plane. So she's quite a cool cucumber, and that's the kind of person you want in the cockpit when something goes wrong, because you know, you do the wrong thing, and we've had that happen before where they push the wrong button or they slow down when they should speed up and so forth, and it can result in a real tragedy. Well, in other news, President Trump says if his upcoming summit with Kim Jong-un of North Korea isn't working, he'll walk out. John Jessup has that.
Thanks, Pat. The president says he's optimistic about the summit, but made clear he's ready to pull the plug if he doesn't think it's getting anything accomplished.
If I think that it's a meeting that is not going to be fruitful, we're not going to go. If the meeting, when I'm there, is not fruitful, I will respectfully leave the meeting.
Speaking alongside Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, Trump also said the U.S. will keep up its campaign of tough economic sanctions until North Korea gives up its nuclear program. CIA Director Mike Pompeo secretly met with Kim to lay the groundwork for the meeting. Pompeo currently faces a tough confirmation battle in the Senate as Trump's nominee to be Secretary of State, where he'll have to overcome opposition from the Democrats. And Pat, Trump is also hoping that Senator Paul, switches his vote from a no to a yes.
Mike Pompeo is a brilliant man. He has run a private business. He has been a member of Congress. He's a decorated veteran, and he's an ideal choice for Secretary of State. For the Democrats to think that they can deprive the president of a Secretary of State is just outrageous. There was an article today mentioning how many votes had been cast for other nominees, and they're almost unanimous. A president has a right to have his own team, and for the Democrats to think that our country can prosper when the executive team is not in place is just insanity. And for Rand Paul, if it's down to a close vote, his vote might be important. Mike Pompeo, what are they criticizing him for? Because he thinks that marriage should be a union between a man and a woman. What's that got to do with Secretary of State? Well, nothing. But the Democrats don't like it, and so they're opposing him on matters such as this. And I'm not sure Rand Paul is going back to the Iraq War and digging up stuff that really is not significant. This man would be a superb choice of Secretary of State, and he'd work very well with the president. The president is being denied his entire executive team. There are more holes in the Senate. There are more delays. They will not let him have the people he needs to run the government. Well, does that help America? Let me ask you, is hurting Trump going to help America? Of course not. So are the Democrats against America? No, they're against Trump. They hate Trump, and they want him out. And this witch hunt that's going on with Mueller is just extraordinarily bad. And I congratulate the majority leader of the Senate in saying we're not going to consider a bill that would limit the president's ability to fire the special prosecutor. He's a member of the executive branch, and if the president wants to fire him, that's his business. Congress has got no business getting involved in that at all. So it's crazy when you've got a branch of government, an executive, the Justice Department and the FBI, uniting against their boss, who's the President of the United States. And then members of the Senate are trying to say, well, let's limit the president's ability to deal with the members of his own house. No way. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope come election time the voters will realize what they're dealing with. We can't have this. We've got to unite to make our country great. And we don't do that by tearing people apart. John?
Thanks, Pat. Well, for those of you who are planning on driving on a vacation anytime soon, get ready to pay more at the pump. Oil prices have hit their highest levels in more than 3 years at $68 a barrel. And analysts believe prices could go higher. OPEC and Russia have worked together to cut oil output, and CNBC reports that some senior Saudi officials are reportedly shooting for oil to hit $80 a barrel. That could lead to gas prices around $3 a gallon in some areas. Well, Israel opened celebrations of its 70th anniversary commemorating the Jewish state's independence with songs, dancing, and fireworks. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, the celebration also begins under the shadow of a threat from Iran.
Israel's national celebration wove a theme of technological progress and survival through 7 decades of its modern history. They told the story of the Jewish people from Moses to the early pioneers, through the Holocaust, to the planting of the land and the growth of technology. They said the rebirth of their nation was where prophecy became their reality and the answer to their prayers.
We prayed to God to return to Jerusalem, his city. And now, in 1948, 70 years ago, Jerusalem, his city, became available to us.
The Jewish prayers always talked about returning to Zion, returning to Jerusalem. And here we are 70 years in spite of all the things that have happened and the threats from Iran they talk about. There's still the technology and the things going on that really does seem quite miraculous.
Earlier, a siren wailed throughout the country as Israelis stood silent and remembered their fallen through their many wars and terror attacks. The commemoration and celebrations took place despite threats from Iran. An Iranian spokesman blamed Israel for an attack on an Iranian base inside Syria and warned Iran would retaliate. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would face the Iranian threat.
Today also, we are not deterred from the struggle against those who strive to annihilate us, because we know how to defend ourselves with our own forces, which is the essence of independence.
Netanyahu also thanked President Trump and America.
We all appreciate the strong alliance with the United States. We all welcome President Donald Trump's historic decision to recognize Jerusalem as our capital and to transfer the embassy of the strongest power in the world to it. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, America.
The celebration ended with a rendition of the song Hallelujah, for the things that were and the things to come. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
It looks like they're having a great time celebrating 70 years of the modern state of Israel.
They should, and it's a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, and we applaud that because it's good for the world. It's good for all of us. And when the righteous are prospering, the people rejoice. And so when Israel prospers, we rejoice. Terry?
Well, coming up, the declaration signed in Tel Aviv 70 years ago that changed the world forever.
This was the birth of a Jewish state. As for all Jews, we are the only people in the history of the world that live on the same land, speak in the same language, and believe in the same God more than 3,000 years.
Scott Ross visits the birthplace of the nation of Israel, and that's next.
Well, 70 years ago, a declaration signed in a Tel Aviv art gallery changed the world forever. Against overwhelming odds, the fledgling state of Israel not only survived, but grew beyond expectation. CBN's Scott Ross looks back at that historic moment, along with someone who was actually there.
על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל, היא מדינת ישראל.
Here in Independence Hall, David Ben-Gurion declared the birth of the modern state of Israel. For the first time in nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people had a nation.
He chose the words, we hereby declare the establishment, it says here, of a Jewish state in the land of Israel to be known as the state of Israel. This was the birth of a Jewish state. As for all Jews, Ben-Gurion was standing here as the voice of 11 million Jews around the world who had no voice, who had no address, and nowhere to go to.
I spoke with Isaac Dror, who leads the education effort here.
It was promised to us by God. We are the only people in the history of the world that live on the same land, speak in the same language, and believe in the same God more than 3,000 years.
We are in a historic setting here. Where are we and what happened?
This is the room where the Jewish state of Israel was born 70 years ago. In this tiny room with these same furnitures, a ceremony that lasted 32 minutes and shook the world.
As British rulers left Israel that day, 5 Arab armies invaded.
So it's like when you mix the happiest day for the Jewish people, one of the greatest moments for our nation in modern times, with one of the most dangerous and sad days when Israel was that close to a complete annihilation.
Why this building? Why here? Why Tel Aviv?
This building was simply the safest auditorium in the city of Tel Aviv.
Who were the people that were here?
Most of them people from around Tel Aviv, because they could not invite people from Jerusalem, because Jerusalem was disconnected. Only 350 of them were lucky enough to be squeezed in the room with no air conditioning.
And among the crowd of witnesses was Yael Sharet.
Her father was on the stage here, Moshe Sharet. He was the right hand of Ben Gurion and the kind of the foreign minister of the provisional government of Israel. And when they came to the ceremony, they came with an invitation. And it says here, we are honored to invite you to the ceremony of independence. And then it goes, we ask you to keep it as a secret.
Really?
You don't want thousands of people to swarm the street when you expect an air raid later that day. And then it says the invitation is personal, like come alone. And here you have Mr. Moshe Sharet, who brought his daughter with him. And not only his daughter, but his sister as well. And Moshe Sharet said they will share the same chair.
I met Yael Sharet Medini at her home near Tel Aviv.
Here is my aunt, and this is my forehead. Hopefully there's something behind it, as I say. And we share the chair there, next to the wall.
She told me how just the day before, her father dictated and Yael wrote a draft of the Declaration of Independence.
This is my father's version of the Declaration. The one that he dictated to me, this is my handwriting. This is a photocopy of the original. Yeah. The original is in the archive.
And this took you how long?
I think that I sat there about 3/4 of an hour to an hour.
Yael simply calls herself a handmaiden of history. Well, how old were you?
17 and a half. I wasn't interested in this. I knew that this is what's going to happen from the age of 0, that we are going to have a state and we are rightfully here.
During that time, she and her family lived in New York, where her father would scour the United Nations, convincing countries to support the soon-to-be-born state. Do you remember the event itself, when Ben Gurion stood up and read?
It's epic. It's really epic. It's poetry, actually. The only time I was really moved, I must say, was when the Rabbi Levine made the old age Jewish blessing, Shechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
That ancient Jewish prayer, recited on momentous occasions, thanks God who has given us life, sustained us, and allowed us to reach this day.
I'm not religious, but this blessing has an echo of generations.
Did you sing?
Hatikva, yes. And then everybody stood up, and it was the anthem, the national anthem.
The very next day, which was the Sabbath, President Harry Truman became the first world leader to recognize Israel.
The Pentagon and the State Department truly believed that Ben Gurion, the leader of Israel, is leading the world into a new catastrophe. One person, however, thought differently. His name was Harry Truman. He understood something that most of his top advisors and ministers failed to see. This is truly a prophecy being realized.
70 years later, it's clear that Truman was right.
We are faster, better, prettier than ever today. The economy of Israel is doing wonderfully well. They call a startup nation. And now we see Israel standing, and thanks God, together with the Americans, in the spirit of those countries who are leading. Suddenly people understand why we are here.
Scott Ross for CBN in Tel Aviv.
It's an amazing thing after 70 years. It's a miracle, ladies and gentlemen. As was said, there's no nation that's ever been in diaspora for so many years, and they've come back to the same land, and then they now have the same language. And I was with the grandson, I guess, of the man who brought modern-day Hebrew into being, and he Yehuda, Ben Yehuda, and he brought to bear the language of Hebrew so they could have a written new language that was current. And they all speak that language. That's the new language. And Israel it's an amazing story, Terry.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, up next, a desperate mother and her daughter travel through Syria, Iraq, and Jordan to get her child life-saving heart surgery, and from people she'd been told were her enemies.
Every child deserves the best medical treatment that Save a Child's Heart can give. We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
Meet the Israeli doctors and staff who have saved the lives of more than 4,000 children in 48 developing countries. Coming up next. Israel's mission to help repair the world begins right in its own backyard. Over the past 20 years, one Israeli medical group has saved the lives of thousands of children with serious heart defects, and more than half of those children are Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza.
Every year, thousands of children are born with fatal heart defects. Many live in countries where the life-saving medical care they need simply doesn't exist. Like this 2-year-old girl from Syria. Niaz was born with a hole between the 2 major arteries in her heart. And without surgery, she will die.
She has a very rare defect. It's very difficult to diagnose, actually. And I think this is why the diagnosis was made so late in life. This is a diagnosis usually made just after birth and should be treated within the first few weeks or a few months of life.
Niaz's condition went undiagnosed because she and her family live in a Syrian refugee camp. Her mother has risked everything to find people who can save her daughter's life. She made the difficult journey through Syria, Iraq, and Jordan, then handed her daughter to the only people who were willing to help her. People she had been told are her enemies.
I was afraid to come to Israel at first, but the most important issue was my daughter's health. It was more important for her to receive the care she needs.
The doctors and nurses who are caring for Niaz are all Israelis. They work for an organization called Save a Child's Heart. And their mission is to provide free surgery for children with fatal heart conditions. Since 1995, doctors from Save a Child's Heart have operated on more than 4,000 children from 48 developing countries. Children who would otherwise have died.
Well, Save a Child's Heart, the belief is that every child deserves the best medical treatment that we can afford to give. Today, Israel's in a situation that Israeli children get all the medical care that they need in the field of heart problems. And therefore, we consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world. And we talk about reaching out and helping others around the world, then we first of all always look to our neighbors. And when we look around ourselves, we see a Middle East which is troubled, which is in need. And when we look to the south, we see a tremendous need in Africa. Every child deserves the best medical treatment that Save a Child's Heart can give, and it really doesn't matter what religious background the child comes from. That is the motto of Save a Child's Heart: a child is a child.
These surgeons have seen the world's toughest cases, but Niaz was especially challenging.
When she arrived to us at the age of 1 year and 10 months, she already had damage to the lungs. This makes the surgery even more difficult.
The surgery took several hours, And afterwards, Niaz needed several days of follow-up care.
What we saw in the echo following surgery is, although she came late, the results were amazing, and she will have a normal life. She can do sports, she can get married and have children, she can go to university first, she can become a doctor, whatever. Her prognosis right now is that of a normal child. She would have died in infancy. Not in adolescence or in adult, she would have died in infancy. We took a child with no prognosis and we turned her into a healthy child. This is what medicine is all about.
Knowing that nobody else would do it and the patient will die if we will not be doing the surgeries, and to see the patients recovering, it's beyond any description.
Niaz and her mother returned to Syria with a new view of their neighbors to the south.
Now that my daughter has had her surgery, I feel very blessed and at peace. The people here in the hospital and in Israel have been so good to me. When I get home, I will tell everyone how much the Israelis helped us and took care of my daughter.
Over the past few years, I would say that one of the very few positive things which have come out of the wars, I would say Iraq and Syria, is the ability of building bridges between nations, of bringing people together, Israelis together with Syrians, with Iraqis, Jordanians, and Palestinians, all under the same roof here at Wolfson Medical Center, getting to know each other.
Right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle.
Doctors from Save a Child's Heart analyze cases from all over the world to determine the best candidates for surgery. The children then travel to Israel, some with a parent, and others with a volunteer guardian. Their surgeries are performed here at the Wolfson Medical Center in the city of Holon, just outside Tel Aviv. Today, children and parents live in this house near the hospital while they're recovering from surgery. But when Save a Child's Heart began in 1995, there was no children's home. So the patients recovered in the home of the program's founder, Dr. Ami Cohen.
The first children who arrived here from Ethiopia had no home to go to. As the program started to evolve and more children started to come to Israel, it became apparent that there was a need to take care of the children. And it was not only about the medical care. It was the pre-care and it was the post-care after the discharge from the hospital. And that was where the notion of Save a Child's Heart was sort of to take things one step further and to try and create a home away from home for the children here in Israel. And this is where they spend at least a month after surgery.
The kids are used to food from their country, so the moms cook food that they're used to and they can have that piece of home with them. And then they all sit by their country, so they're all eating what they've grown up with.
We have phenomenal support from young people all around the world who are coming to volunteer and spend time with their children here in Israel. Many of these children are here without their parents. And young volunteers who come from overseas to volunteer, they actually serve as surrogates for these children.
As a volunteer at Save a Child's Heart, I see my role really as making the children happy, making them smile, making this experience better than it would be. I love to play with them and sit and just have fun.
It's a really hard thing. They're coming to a different country to get open heart surgery, and we try to plan activities and say, okay, time for arts and crafts, let's go. But if they're not in the mood, they're not going to be happy. That's not us doing our jobs. You have to see what they want to do, what's going to make them most happy, and do that.
More than 50% of the children treated are Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza. These families not only receive surgery, they also attend free weekly clinics and support groups.
I started to work with them because they needed someone to translate, basically. But I'm not only translating, I'm translating feelings and emotions. Every Tuesday we have a Palestinian clinic in which Palestinians from the West Bank and Gaza are coming to the clinic. So I'm there to help them, to be like the contact person between the families and the doctors. I'm the only person in the organization who can speak with them in their language and their culture also. So we talk. We share experiences, stories, and feelings, and to know each other. I think it's a good opportunity because at the end of the day, they all are the same. They all have children with health problems.
Diana is a 4-month-old baby from Ramallah. Like Niaz, she was also born with a hole in her heart.
It affects her growth. She's not growing properly because her heart is working too hard. So it's like it's burning energy. She has difficulty feeding all her milk. She drinks little at a time because she gets tired very easily. Sometimes she sweats for no reason, even if she's not moving, because her heart is working more than it should be working. She's almost always tired. She wakes up very frequently to feed because she's not feeding enough every time. So I'm tired and she's tired with this condition. And they told me hopefully with surgery it will fix this problem and everything will be good. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping. We're due for surgery in a couple of hours, so I'm very nervous.
Finally, it was time for Diana to go to the operating room. On her surgical team is a Palestinian doctor from the West Bank city of Nablus. Dr. Ahmed Zarour is part of the residency program here at Wolfson Hospital, where he'll be trained by Israeli surgeons for the next 6 years.
Really, I'm feeling good with all my colleagues. We are working together as a team, and I feel happy here, and I hope to continue.
The surgery was life-changing for both Diana and her mother.
I met some very nice people, and everybody is helpful over here. The main focus is helping the child, you know. It changed my experience because I never interacted with people from the other side, the Jewish people, with just us. But now we interact with a lot of people, Jewish people, African people, Iraqi people. It's good experience. You get to know people as individuals. It's a very good experience.
Maybe people will call me naive, but dealing with the Palestinians and patients coming from enemy's countries, they know what we did for their child, and it put everything in new perspective. It seems that we are not the monster that everybody wants to draw us. I think it's like trust-building steps.
Many of the cardiac patients here come from Africa, like 9-year-old Desiree from Uganda. She spent most of her life in hospitals, but none of the doctors in her country could help. So her mother brought her to Israel.
Me, I'm a Bible reader, so most of the things that I've read about the Israelites, I've found them happening here. Even the name of their money, I knew it from the Bible. So when I came here, I saw it with my eyes, the name shekels. Yeah, and when I heard that I'm coming to Israel, I said I'm the luckiest lady. Here we were welcomed very well. We are really happy. Even when we went to the hospital, it was so good that even a doctor pinching you with a needle, she says sorry, which is really very good to us. We are feeling at home so much.
A month after Desiree's surgery, doctors gave her a clean bill of health.
You ready to go home?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't sound excited enough to go home. Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, I'm not sending you if you're not very excited. This is her last echo. She looks wonderful. After 6 months, she can do sports. She can go to the Olympics.
As a Christian, Violet has prayed for Israel every day for years. And now, she says Israel was the answer to her prayers for Desiree.
She was very happy. No longer sick, no longer weak. I'm going to play like other children. I'm going to do everything like I couldn't do. She's putting on weight. She's so excited. I said, God, I thank you because you have brought a new heart to my girl. You have given her a new heart.
Desiree is one of thousands of children in Africa who don't have access to pediatric heart surgeons. And when it's impossible for these young patients to travel to Israel, surgeons from Save a Child's Heart travel to them. Around the world, they hold clinics like this one in Tanzania, where they screen sick children, perform surgeries, and train local doctors and nurses.
We focus a lot on training. We want them to be trained as we were trained. We need to give them the right tools to come back and take over and treat the patients by themselves.
With a new generation of doctors being trained around the world and thousands of success stories from 48 countries, Save a Child's Heart is fulfilling the dream of Israel's founders, who envisioned their country as the light to the nations described by the prophet Isaiah.
Years ago, our ancestors came to Israel as pioneers to settle the land. That was their view and vision of Zionism. Israel, the 21st century, is in a completely different position than it was 60 years ago. Today, Israel can actually share its knowledge and expertise with others. When you look at the Ethiopian children playing with the Romanian children, playing with a Tanzanian boy and with a Chinese boy, and you see how nicely these children interact one with another without actually having a common language. But I think the common language that all these children have is that they're human beings.
We need more of these kinds of people in this world.
I'm going to tell people Israel rescue my son. I can't forget Israel. I'm waiting for it to see my son going to school. I'm so glad. I'm very, very, very glad to see my son good like this. Give me 5. Yes, he's so good.
There's something very, very special about this place, which is pure goodness and man helping man. And I wish that other people throughout the world could see this side of Israel.
And that's the reason that we are so happy to support Israel and celebrate its 70th anniversary. CBN has released a new documentary on DVD called To Life: How Israeli Volunteers Are Changing the World. To Life tells the story of 5 amazing Israeli organizations that are transforming lives across the globe. This is your opportunity to stand with Israel and to bless God's chosen people. If you'd like your DVD copy of To Life, call now. It's our thank you for your gift of $10 or more. Just call our toll-free number. It's 1-800-700-7000, or you can get your copy by going to cbn.com. Share this DVD with friends and family and help us spread the true story of Israel's heroism and help to the nations. It's a story that needs to be told. We'll be back with more of the 700 Club right after this.
Go to facebook.com/CBN Online for trivia and your chance to win a To Life the Movie t-shirt. And welcome back to the 700 Club. Firefighters have been battling deadly fires across Oklahoma, Colorado, Kansas, and New Mexico. Hundreds of people across that region have been forced to evacuate. 2 people have died in Oklahoma. Homes have been swallowed up by fires and cattle have been burned to death.
We're working very hard to protect the citizens. Fire departments all over are working very closely together.
The fires have stretched some fire departments to their limit. Well, the Hawaiian island of Kauai is under a flash flood watch starting today. Hundreds of people have already been evacuated there after the island was hit by historic flooding from torrential rains.
The type of rain that as it rained, it was so heavy when we kept saying there's no way it could get worse, and then it would just keep getting worse.
It's hard to conceive that that much water could come from the sky.
The governor has declared a state of disaster for the island of Kauai. Such a beautiful island. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by visiting our website at cbnnews.com. Pat and Terry will be back with more of today's 700 Club right after this.
Well, spring is here, and each spring, as I just told you in that piece, our CBN staff sets aside a special week of prayer, and we pray for you, our partners and viewers. That's happening all next week, Monday through Friday. We're going to be gathering daily at noon in the Regent University Chapel to pray for your needs. If you've received this envelope, pretty, isn't it, containing the brochure reflecting on God's power and goodness, please read it and then send us your prayer requests. If you haven't received it, you can still send us your prayer requests, and we'll send you a free copy of the brochure. I think it'll be a blessing to you. You can do all of that by calling 1-800-700-7000 or simply go to cbn.com. You can also write to us at CBN's Week of Prayer, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. We look forward to praying for you, so please let us hear from you. Pat?
Well, every day, a girl named Jenna, her parents had to watch their 8-year-old daughter being bullied because she had crossed eyes. They could barely afford to see a doctor, so surgery was out of the question until they visited CBN's mobile medical clinic.
Jana's mom noticed her daughter's eye turning inward at 6 months old. By the time Jana turned 8, her condition had gotten worse.
I have a hard time reading. I often have headaches.
Unfortunately, the kids at school didn't make life any easier for Jana.
One boy kept calling me cross eyes. Sometimes he would come up and just punch me.
Jana's dad is a delivery man, and her mom works as a cook. Together, they finally saved enough to take Jana to an ophthalmologist, but they couldn't afford the corrective surgery that the doctor recommended.
It breaks my heart to see my daughter suffer from headaches and bullying in school.
In desperation, her parents took her to CBN's mobile medical clinic, hoping we could help. There, we arranged for her to receive free surgery to repair the weakened eye muscles. In the months since surgery, Jana has returned to school and other activities and has had no more problems with eye strain.
I'm happy my eyes look straight now, and I won't be bullied anymore.
I'm grateful that God sent CBN to help our daughter.
Thank you to the doctor and CBN.
What a wonderful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, you are helping one at a time. You say, well, I'd like to help all the kids in the world. Sure we would, but we can't. We can take them one at a time, little girls like Jenna and others, and we can give them life and give them hope. And you can do that if you join the 700 Club. It's just real simple. 65
cents a day, yeah.
So 65 cents a day.
65 cents a day.
Yeah, you know, it seems so little that it's hard to say.
Well, you know, here's the great thing about this, Pat. For Jenna, it's not just the social implication of this and the bullying. I mean, cross your eyes and then pick up a piece of paper and try to read. How do you go to school?
Well,
how do you get an education?
But unless you get to these things early, but if you fix them early, you can do it. But it's a simple surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have any money, you can't make it happen. So we did a little DVD called Viewers Answers to Prayer, and I think you'll find this very fascinating. We'll give it to you as our gift when you join the 700 Club. It's just $20 a month. But together we can help a lot of girls like Jenna. We can do a tremendous amount of good, little by little by little. And you say just 65 cents a day, that's all. You know, you can't get a bottle of soda water for that kind of money. It costs you 2 or 3 times that much just to get a Coke.
Mm-hmm.
This is life-changing. Answers to Prayer. We'll give this to you free as our gift to you. All right, we've got some.
I want to tell you first what Pauline from Swansea, Massachusetts had to say, because she's already seen that DVD, Answered Prayer. She says, "Dear Pat, I can't begin to tell you how much Answered Prayer has blessed me. It came at just the right time. I've been going through unbelievable changes over the past couple of years, and this DVD has inspired me to keep on praying and seeking God for the next seasons of my life." So it really has been life-changing to her. And here's the great thing. Pauline's a 700 Club member, so she's changing lives every day. We want you to do the same thing.
Okay.
We've got some time for questions.
Well,
you ready?
Let's do it. We haven't got much time.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
This is Trish, who says, "I think my husband is talking to another woman online, but he says he's not. How do I forgive him for something that he won't admit he's doing?"
I think what you've got to do, first of all, is, you know, jealousy is a terrible thing, and it may be that you've, in your mind, conceived of a relationship that doesn't exist. So you've got to get some external evidence before you start going off on a tangent. You know, the best way to drive a loved one away from you is to have continuous jealousy. So what do you have to do? There has to be a relationship of trust. Now, if your husband indeed is developing an online relationship with somebody else, that borders on adultery, and it's a bad thing, and, you know, needs to be dealt with. But before you get too much farther down the road, you don't have enough evidence to back up your allegations, I don't think. What else you have?
Okay, this is a viewer who says, my relationship with my daughter is damaged. My husband and I haven't spoken to our daughter in 3 years because she cut us off after I talked to her about something that concerned me. She and her husband allow their 3- and 4-year-old children to sleep in their bed, their marriage bed. They also allow them to take showers together. I don't think this is right. I think the kids are too old for this, and I think allowing the kids into their bed will have a negative effect on their marriage if they don't put a stop to it. What are your thoughts? Was I wrong sharing my concerns?
Well, your daughter should accept what you've got to say, but at the same time, it's her marriage, her deal, and her kids. And, you know, if she thinks that's the way to bring up her children, it's really not any of your business. Yeah. So I think I'd cool off a little bit, see if you, but just reestablish your relationship with your daughter. She may be making a serious mistake, but she needs somebody beside you, because, you know, children get their backs up when mom and dad tell them how to live. It's just natural. I wish it weren't the case, but it is. They should be accepting the wise counsel of their parents, but they don't. So you need a impartial third party to counsel that.
Yeah.
But
a good rule of thumb is, if they haven't asked, they probably aren't looking for your answer.
Well, then exactly. And I just think that, you know, you don't need to have a rupture with your daughter because of the way she's raising her kids.
Okay, this is Ruth Pat, who says, a local church is having a women's retreat with the subjects being Reiki, reflexology, skincare, essential oils, and meditation. The woman that is speaking is a pastor at another church. What do you think about churches getting involved in this New Age stuff?
I think churches shouldn't. The New Age is take people away from the Lord. It's not biblical. And all these little things are not biblical, but it's a way of having, quote, reality, and it's a spiritual reality that isn't biblical. So what do? I think you should let your voice be heard. And if they won't listen, I mean, you can always go someplace else. I mean, the nice thing about America is there's so many churches, and find one that's compatible, where they teach the Bible, believe in the Bible, and don't put you in a role where you've got to go along with New Age fads. All right?
Okay, this is Candace, who says, what does the Bible say about hoarding? Does it have to do with greed or an evil spirit or darkness, or is hoarding just a mental illness? Can it be cured by the Holy Spirit by turning to God for help?
Well, I think you can turn to God for help. I do think some of this hoarding is a psychosis, and it needs to be dealt with. People begin to hoard, and they have all these possessions, and their life depends on this thing, and they need to get set free from this. They need psychological help. And so see if whoever's involved, you can't get somebody to help them, because it really is a serious thing. To be trapped by possessions so that you fill your house with junk, and it's just terrible. So a person's life needs to be free and uncluttered. Well, today's Power Minute is from the book of Lamentations. Through the Lord's mercies we're not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They're new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Well, that's all the time we've got. Tomorrow, Yazidi victims of ISIS are getting springs of hope. You won't want to miss that. We'll see you. Bye-bye.